If you desire to walk in alignment with your purpose, to live a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you've come to the right place. This is Sarah Locke, and welcome to Purpose Unlocked. Hello, everyone. Something that I have been struggling with a lot lately is knowing when to ask for help. And I know that this is a trait of the Enneagram number 2. And while I'm not an Enneagram 2, I'm actually a number 7. I do have strong 2 characteristics. That was the second highest scoring number that I had. And if you don't know your Enneagram number, I am going to leave a link to the free quiz in the description for this video. So you can go ahead and figure out what number you are so you can reference that later. But I think that when it comes to the Enneagram, a lot of us we encompass many of the different characteristics of the Enneagram. So we're not just strictly our one number and none of the other numbers matter. Most of us have a lot of interactions with the different numbers. So I know that I do have a lot of strong 2 characteristics, and the 2 is the helper, which means that they love to help other people, and they have almost like this sixth sense of when someone needs help and what they need, and they're able to just jump right in and do it. But asking for help is like their Achilles heel. They hate it. And they actually have a lot of pride around it. So they let the pride get in their way because they think that, well, everybody needs my help, but I obviously don't need anyone else's help. And this is what can get them into trouble. So while the Enneagram 2 may find it the hardest to ask for help, I think a lot of us struggle with that sometimes. So I wanted to go over the 3 times that you know it is best to ask for help. And the third, I think, is going to surprise you a little bit, but we'll see. So the first is when the physical or mental load has become too much to carry alone. And what I mean by that is when we are carrying a couch, for example, that's the physical load of the couch. I am probably not going to move a whole sofa by myself, and nor would anyone expect me to. When the physical load of something is too heavy to carry, it makes complete sense to ask for help, and none of us question it. But when the mental load is too much for us to handle on our own, it's also a really good time to ask for help. Now, what does that look like? In my own life, I think of the times that I have to go to the doctor, which I have to go to the doctor a lot right now because I'm pregnant. And they basically just go and check the heartbeat and say, yep, you still look pregnant. And that's pretty much it. But anyway, sometimes there are more, there is more to the appointment than that. Sometimes they need to do an ultrasound or they need to check for genetics situations. And in those types of situations, when there is more to the appointment, when there is a lot of unknown, there's a larger mental load associated with that. So in those situations, I really like when my husband comes with me because we're going to be watching our baby on the monitor. So it is exciting and it is good news. But there's a mental load that's different and that's associated with that. So even though I can still physically drive myself to the doctor, him being there isn't going to help me or help the baby in any physical sense. But in a mental sense, I want him there because the mental load is a little bit too much or too scary because I'm dealing with the unknown. It's too much to handle. A lot of this are going to run into that if we have a sick parent or a sick child. You know that physically you can do it by yourself. Physically, you can take care of your child or take care of your parent, but mentally, it really helps to have either a sibling or a spouse or a partner or someone that's in your corner that's there to support you and the mental load of the seriousness of the situation and what you're going through. So, just as no one would expect you to carry a couch on your own, no one expects you to carry the mental load of these serious situations all by yourself. And it is okay, and it is way better to ask for help than trying to do it all on your own. Number 2, the second time it's best to ask for help is when you've gone beyond your area of expertise and you have now tapped every resource that is available to you in order to accomplish the task that you have set in front of you. So let's say you have a problem that you're trying to solve, and you're kind of out of your comfort zone. You've done everything that you can possibly do, and now you've Googled it a million times. You've looked it up on YouTube. You've watched all the videos that you could possibly watch about it. And after all of this research, you still have come to the conclusion, like, I can't fix this. Why can't I fix this? And that's actually the thing that I was struggling with a lot this past week. And I've shared before that I am in the process of building my website for my business. And I am just not the most technologically savvy person. And I have to connect my website in this website building software that I'm using. I have to connect it to a domain name, which I didn't even know was a thing. And I didn't know that it existed before this whole process. But I found out that you have to connect those things so that this website that you're building actually ends up on the internet. So that's the process that I was stuck in. And I watched the videos, I Googled it, I did all the things that I could possibly do. And it looked to me like I had followed the instructions. And yet I was still getting an error message every single time. So I had to swallow my pride because this was something that I had a hard time doing. And I even talked to my life coach about it. And I was like, well, I should be able to do this on my own. I should be able to figure this out. And he's like, he didn't say this verbatim, but he looked at me like, do you have a degree in web design or computers or IT that you didn't tell me about? But he did say, Sarah, why do you feel like you should be able to figure this out on your own? And he was like, you've never built a website before, correct? So why do you think that you should be able to do this by yourself? And I kind of thought to myself, like, okay, well, after you say it that way, it sounds a bit arrogant that I think that I should just be able to do basically whatever I want by watching a YouTube video and just have magical expertise in web design. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to intellectual matters and when it comes to certain things, we often think that our expertise or our capabilities should expand beyond what is actually reasonable and what's actually true. The truth is, I do not have a degree in web design. The truth is, there are people that study these types of things for a long time, and there's a lot of things about the internet and about coding and building websites and things that I do not know enough about in order to troubleshoot what my problem is. Because I did everything according to the instructions, and based off of what I was doing, it should have worked. And it just didn't. But I'm now outside of my area of expertise. I've now tapped all of the resources that I could possibly use. And I really needed the help of someone that had done this before and knew what they were doing. So I did get help from someone. And honestly, I'm so glad that I did. She was amazing. She did say, it looks like everything that you were doing is what you were supposed to be doing. And she didn't know why it was not working at first either. So, but her having more expertise and having done this a few more times, she was able to troubleshoot it and just tweak she made some teeny tiny changes. And I swear she actually fixed it almost by accident because there were just certain tiny things that she knew to try that I would have no idea. And then as an added bonus, she was super sweet and fantastic. And I'm pretty sure we just became best friends. And she has a 4-year-old son, and I'm about to have a boy. So we were bonding over that. And yeah, it was so much fun. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Swallow your pride. I know it's hard because my pride gets in the way sometimes too. And I hate having to admit that. I hate realizing that that's what's holding me back, and that all I have to do is admit that I'm not perfect and that I don't know everything and that I can't learn absolutely everything in the world from YouTube, which I don't know. I still like to think I can. But yeah, sometimes you have to swallow your pride and you have to ask for help, especially when you've gotten beyond where your expertise and where your resources are going to allow you to go. There are experts that can help you. And number 3, this one might surprise you. It's good to ask people for help to let them know how much you value them. What's interesting is when we help other people and we extend help and we say, "Oh, I got that. I can help you with that." Sometimes people actually feel almost indebted to us, and this is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It can obviously be a bad thing. But when we ask someone for their help and their expertise, especially if it's someone that we know and we love and we trust, they feel like, oh, okay, she came to me because she really values me and she values my opinion, and I'm able to help her. And it makes that other person feel important and valued and competent to be able to step in and to be able to give you the advice that you were seeking. It also improves our bond with people. When people help us, they they feel like they've done something good. So don't just think of it as them helping you. Also think of it as a situation where you can bond over something, you can learn something together. You might even be able to understand more of what this person's expertise is and gain a better understanding of where they're coming from, especially if it's something that you've done, you feel really good about it, but you want to bounce it. Like, obviously, two heads are better than one. It's really good to get the ideas and feedback from someone else, especially if you already know, like, and trust them. For me, I am absolutely going to leverage this next step when I'm done building my website. So, right now, the domain and the website builder situation are finally connected. And now I have a website that is up and none of the buttons work. And that is okay because I haven't programmed any of the buttons to work yet, except for one. And that one kind of does what it's supposed to do, and then it breaks. So I have a whole host of other things that I still need to figure out. But when I'm done and I have my courses uploaded and I have the website up and running, I am definitely going to ask for feedback and for someone to go through it and say, does this make sense? Is this intuitive? Because when you're in the weeds of something, you don't necessarily know what makes sense and what doesn't. It's hard for you to determine what works and what doesn't. And so I will be seeking feedback on, okay, how does this website look? Does it make sense to you? Are you able to click into everything? And is it functioning the way that it should be? So if you can relate to me at all and you have had some trouble asking for help, don't be afraid to reach out, because not only are you going to gain a better understanding of your situation, you're also going to deepen a bond with the person that you're asking for help. So it is mutually beneficial most of the time across the board. So if this has served you, I'd really appreciate a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, or please leave me a 5-star review wherever you're watching. Thank you so much for your time, and be sure to share this with someone you love. Thank you for the precious gift of your time. If you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone you love. Until next time, count your blessings, love yourself, and stay fabulous.